Listen, I started Jake off and I'ma finish him. Just come to the fight and you'll see.
Today, we look at the explosive feud of boxing legend Mike Tyson and YouTube sensation-turned-boxer Jake Paul. Tyson has vowed to bring Paul's so-called boxing career to an end, and we'll have juicy details on that soon. So, don't you dare go anywhere, since at the very end, we will reveal the shocking claims Tyson has regarding Jake Paul's past fights that you won't want to miss. The feud begins. It all began with Jake Paul's trolling when he used his star power to provoke one of the scariest legends in boxing, Mike Tyson. With his loud personality and braggadocio, Paul had been vocal about beating up MMA fighters, old retired athletes hyping himself as the future of boxing. This bravado turned to a mocking affair when Paul started creating parody videos of Tyson, where he was manipulating his image and his voice trying the respect's patience. Tyson, in his ever-patient and quiet-to-the-nth silence, finally lost composure at a news conference in Arlington, Texas. The former heavyweight champion, known for choosing very few words until it was absolutely required, let loose with a barrage of contempt regarding Paul's actions. Tyson scolded Paul for belittling the sport and, among other things, for not really having boxed anybody, and swore he was going to kill his alleged boxing career. That was from where the significance really came in, because Paul appeared shocked by the seriousness of what Tyson was saying and the harsh truth that he was going to take. It escalated the rivalry between the two from simple online provocations to something real and career-defining in the ring. The Arlington press conference. Such was the extent of the proceedings that the press conference in Arlington was nothing less than a show. Literally, hundreds of cameras clicked away as Mike Tyson went off on Jake Paul, leaving him seemingly shaken. Tyson proclaimed, "Listen up, I started Jake off and I'ma finish him. This ain't no game, bruh. You've been fighting a bunch of MMA guys and retired athletes, thinking that's what makes you champion. I'm gonna ruin your whole boxing career, man." Tyson's words were daggers, cutting through the front that Paul seemed to be displaying. Jake Paul, who was always ready with a retort, looked like he was on the verge of tears. The press conference proved to be great comedy for any boxing fan, but really brought Paul back to earth. Tyson's history and ferocity. Mike Tyson, known as the baddest man on the planet, is one of the most feared boxers in history. Born in 1966, Tyson rose to quick acclaim with a combination of raw power, speed, and intimidating presence in the ring. He became the youngest heavyweight champion at the tender age of 20 by trouncing Trevor Berbick in 1986. Tyson was the most ferocious of them all, and he ruled the heavyweight division with 44 knockouts from 58 fights. Tyson was an aggressive fighter who wouldn't let up, more than overwhelming most of his opponents with raw power and quick, merciless combinations. Not only a physical powerhouse, he was a mental warrior who would psychologically win the bout even before stepping into the ring. Among his conquests in the ring are such boxing legends as Larry Holmes, Michael Spinks, and Frank Bruno, big testimonials to his skill and ferocity. Despite the personal and legal issues that intervened in his career, Tyson's legacy as a formidable competitor remains untainted. Even towards the end of his fighting years, his training epitomizes the kind of dedication he followed with respect to the sport. Tyson has a history of being a fan favorite and one of the greatest and most feared pugilists ever to step into the ring. If one compares Tyson's and Paul's fight preparations, their training programs are night and day. Aged 58, Tyson is still training with an intensity that puts his much younger compatriots to shame. Coach Rafael Cordero has him running at 5 a.m., doing 2,000 sit-ups every day, and sparring with young professional boxers. There is no question that he trains incredibly hard every day. The amount of power that he produces, I've never seen before in my life. Jake Paul, of course, has been training with modern methods and high-tech gear through BJ Flores. Paul's training is vigorous and strenuous, but it doesn't compare to the old-school, brutal training that Tyson goes through. Tyson. He couldn't even knock out Nick Diaz. How's he gonna knock me out? All Tyson is trying to say here is that beating up non-boxers does not prepare a guy for the real deal. Paul's wins have been against social media personalities and retired athletes, not real fighters. So this fight is going to be a big reality check for him. At the Showdown press conference. The Arlington press conference was a pivotal moment in this feud. Tyson continued his verbal assault. "I started Jake off and I'm going to finish him. You think you can beat me? I'll end you in the first round," Tyson threatened. The air was electric as they exchanged words. Tyson wasn't making threats. He was a man with promises, knowing just how the fights end quickly. The power and speed were extraordinary on Tyson, and even now he still has that raw power. His historical dominance, legendary wins over Trevor Berbick, Larry Holmes, Michael Spinks, and Frank Bruno. The reactions from the public and boxing experts have been telling. Even Evander Holyfield, a former rival of Tyson, weighed in, saying, "Tyson's not just talking, he's serious. Paul better be ready." Excitingly, fan polls suggest 70% think Tyson will win, and betting odds are very much on Tyson, proving that even with the vast age gap, the public still respects Tyson's formidable power. In contrast, Jake Paul is portrayed as a mere web upstart who is in over his head. As Joe Rogan said to everyone, "Tyson's uppercuts and jabs are the stuff of legend. Jake's provocations can create a stir, but they do nothing to acclimate him to the reality of Tyson's fists." What Paul has been writing on social media would be laughable for those in the boxing community. In fact, as he has been directing his online bravado directly at Tyson, he has stated that he is the future of boxing. "Mike Tyson is old news. I'm the future of boxing," Paul has said. "It's like a goldfish challenging a great white shark." Paul looks to be irritating Tyson enough to make him lose his cool. But again, Tyson isn't some boxer. He is a professional fighter who is used to turning rage into raw power. The truth about Jake Paul's record. Let's unpeel the real truth behind Jake Paul's former victories. His boxing career has been super selective and strongly veers off from professional boxers into YouTubers, mixed martial arts fighters, and former athletes of all sorts. Jake's professional boxing debut was against YouTuber Deji Olatunji, who had never even had a professional boxing fight in his life. He won by a fifth-round TKO and set the stage for whatever was to come in his career. His next several fights would be against Anderson Gibb, another YouTuber, former NBA player Nate Robinson, and Ben Askren, a supposed MMA fighter who everyone knows way more for his wrestling than his striking anyway. Jake's most notable wins were against former UFC welterweight champion Tyron Woodley. Woodley, however, was way past his prime and not a professional boxer. Jake has picked opponents astutely to fashion a record that looks extremely good on paper without him having actually faced real competition. For instance, his record of 6 wins without loss and 4 knockouts is good for the books, but it has no depth in the form of real boxing challenges. Controversies and allegations. Fixed fights is a controversy that has been around Jake Paul's career. More precisely, in December 2021, it was a rematch with Tyron Woodley, where Paul took victory by knockout in the 6th round. Huge sentiments exist that this was staged, especially at that moment when Woodley seemed way too tough for Jake Paul. As far as sporting action goes, Paul's fights have been more circuses than real contests. The thought of him taking on a legitimate boxer is nearing the point of hilarity. Throw Mike Tyson into that mix, however, and it's a different story. For Tyson, boxing is do-or-die stuff, and rumors of his bout with Paul being predetermined are absolutely false. A man like Tyson, who has such a deep passion for the sport of boxing, would never agree to having a fight rigged. Health setbacks and determination. Adding some drama to this bout, Tyson recently had a bad flare-up with his ulcer condition, which caused the fight to be postponed. Not deterring Tyson one bit, he has maintained this fight will be a war. "I already gave him his warning. Fight like your life depends on it because it does," Tyson said. That base determination of Tyson's is just the opposite for Paul. With Paul, the fights are more an event than a sporting competition. Tyson's commitment to the sport cannot be questioned. Even when in ill health, Tyson has no qualms about stepping back into the ring to do what he must. The fight ahead. What should follow next is when Mike Tyson goes through the ring to face Jake Paul, currently the most awaited fight, and the world is at its edge. At the age of 58, he is training as hard as he did in his prime, proving age is really just a number. Legendary power, speed, and an army of experience underline a formidable opponent. And, at the other end, there is Jake Paul, a social media blowhard fresh off a series of victories over people who, well, just aren't actual boxers. The fight will naturally represent the biggest challenge of Paul's career, by far. Having steamrolled his way to this point with an admittedly manufactured record, the bout will be a real examination of his boxing skills. It's more than just a fight. It's going to be a battle between the old-school ferocity of boxing and the modern-day celebrity spectacle. Tyson's final warning to Paul was chilling. Fight like your life depends on it, because it does. The sentence underscores an intensity and possible brutality in the coming bout. Of course, the big question is going to be whether Jake Paul can hang with the incessant pressure of a boxing legend, or if Tyson is going to once again prove he's one of the greatest to ever do it. The whole world will be on tenterhooks and awaits this epic confrontation. What do you think? Is this upcoming fight even? Will Jake Paul manage to hold his own against Mike Tyson, or is he biting off more than he can chew? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. To stay current with the latest combat sports news, subscribe to Fight Fury and turn on the post notification bell. Until next time, stay safe and keep your guard up. Goodbye.